the Carson Student Athlete Center inside the Schaefer Sports Hall of Fame here in Tempe. It's time for Sun Devil Extra, presented by Spring Hill Suites, Phoenix, Scottsdale. Braiden alongside the athletic director, Graham Rossini, and another week, another great Sun Devil win on the gridiron. So let's dive right into it. A dramatic Saturday night at Mountain America Stadium, 35-31. The Devils pull off a big-time win. We'll dive into the game in a moment. 7-2 record now, best start since 2014, a decade ago, when the Devils were right up there near the top of the college football playoff rankings. Still waiting to get in those rankings perhaps, but what a win it was Saturday.
I think you buried the lead here.
Yeah?
I mean, we came off a Monday night, and you're calling NBA basketball.
This isn't about me.
At Mullet Arena in the G League, making your G League debut. Congratulations.
Right. Thank you.
The crowd's going nuts
I'm
here.
I'm not clapping, yeah.
And the Schaefer Sports Hall of Fame here, but congrats.
Thank you.
Fired up for you.
Thank you.
That's a proud Sun Devil outcome, and so let's take a moment to acknowledge that.
I appreciate it. Yeah,
flip
no, it
the
was
script
cool.
a
And a
little
great night at Mullet.
Yeah.
Great night at Mullet.
You know, it's a versatile facility. There's a lot of things we can do there. NBA sees value in it. That's pretty cool.
Yeah, it was really cool. I do recommend everyone going out, but now you've made me feel awkward.
Hey.
I'm almost blushing. Back to football, please.
Okay.
No, big win, 35-31 over UCF, and I know it was a great crowd, an exciting game all the way through. The thing I loved about this game, Graham, was that it was all three facets getting the job done. Special teams touchdown, defensive touchdown, of course, clutch plays late from Sam Levitt, Jordan Tyson offensively, having to play without Cam Scadaboo, of course, on that side of the ball. Everyone did their part. That's really been the story all year long, and we saw it again on Saturday.
Yeah, gritty team win. And there's a lot of encouraging things that come out when you don't play your best football and you still pull off a very important win as we get into November. And now we're not only bowl eligible, we got our eyes on a bigger prize. So this game was really important. And the past couple weeks, or if not month, UCF has started to figure some things out. And so we were really eager to see what kind of game that they played, and they were good. They were competitive. Running back is as good as advertised. He had a great game. But really proud of our guys and the fact that we kind of mix and match a way to pull that one off. And Coach was pretty frank after the game that we didn't play our best football, but more importantly, you found a way to win despite all that. So, a lot of encouraging things coming out of it. We didn't have our best player in the game. Next man up, Sip getting a chance to showcase himself on ESPN. That was awesome. Shout out to Barrett and kind of the tie-in that was able to come out for Kyson early in the game with his kind of connection. And encouraging that we pulled it off, exciting that we found a way to win. The team has a grit and a will to win that we've been missing for a couple years now. And it's really exciting to see it manifest week by week and continue to grow, and puts us in a good position to get healthy going into K-State and see what we can continue to do.
It's fun to talk about this team, and I'm sure you feel the same way, because even in the two losses this year, you've never felt like they're out of a game.
Right.
They have that belief. There's a belief in that building, and you can see it out on the field.
Yeah.
And then you look at plays like the blocked punt when the offense was a bit stagnant in the first quarter. And not only do you block the punt, but you stick with the play. You run it back for 42 yards, ironically enough, on the Pat Tillman honoree game, so kind of special there, to run it back to tie the game at 7. And then how about the swing right before halftime? 14 points in 9 seconds, including a pick six that, was benefited a little bit after a sloppy special teams play from UCF, but, you take it.
We'll take it.
And so those kinds of plays, they don't happen to just every team. It seems like the Devils have had those kinds of plays happen for them all year long.
Yeah, it seems like our timing this year has been really unique, where the big play presents itself at the most opportune time. And to score that quickly going into the half, then you maintain the momentum, getting the ball coming into the third quarter there. Getting the crowd into the game was kind of flat early in that first half, and so those plays were important, I think, to energize the crowd here at Mountain America Stadium and just really set the tone for the rest of the game. And once again, you go into the fourth quarter and some really critical plays on D at the end of the game, and there's a full student section. The lower bowl is still very energetic, and all those moments continue to help us win games. And kind of a unconventional game, some weird moments that presented themselves, but we were able to capitalize and use it to our advantage and leave with a win, most importantly.
Let's talk about the final 5 minutes. Sam Levitt to Jordan Tyson, which is continuing to grow in terms of their chemistry together. Tyson had another great game with 99 receiving yards and a couple of touchdowns, including the game winner.
Some big air, too.
Yes.
How about that? That guy can get up.
Oh, that catch he made on that 3rd and long.
Right.
Was unbelievable grab, reaching back with 2 guys draped around him. It was a great play.
Yep.
But then it goes back to UCF, and you can kind of feel the vibe in the stadium, like, okay, this is obviously going to be the game. Can the defense step up? They did. 4th and 2, big time play. Miles Rouser and Xavier Alford to to stop the Knights, give the ball back to ASU, and the Devils were able to run out the clock. Big ups to the defense and what they've been able to do, especially in that spot there.
Yeah, and our crack communications team, Doug Tamaro, Jeremy Hawks, pulled some stats. I think we're one of the best teams in the country at games that are decided by 8 points or less. So, basically one possession, one score, including Cincinnati, we lost by 8, unfortunately on the wrong side of that. But Utah, I think Kansas, some of the other ones where it's been within reach, and the fact that the D steps up in crunch time after time after time. Kudos to Coach Ward and the job that the D continues to do to kind of keep us in those games. And then, again, the offense being opportune at the right time to go punch it through and do just enough to get on the other side of it. But you're right, Sam to Jordan is becoming a pretty fun matchup, and just multi-dimensional. The fact that we can score in different ways now, especially as the season gets deeper and deeper, those are some of the highlights that you start to see just this team progressing week by week by week and continue to get better and develop new ways to compete and perform, and that's been exciting to watch all season long.
So with each win, the expectations, the pressure, I guess you could say, mounts as well, and now you have an opportunity on the road this weekend, number 20, Kansas State. ASU sits in a position now where you're top 4 in the conference. You keep winning. We won't spoil, what we're really thinking, but you still have conference title aspirations, of course, at this point of the season, which is all you could ask for, and you head to Manhattan this weekend. Really fun opportunity.
Well, I got goosebumps on Veterans Day. I got a phone call from the executive director of one of the bowl games that we've qualified for, and he said, "Hey, I'm just calling to wish good luck, because I think you've blown by a chance for us to have you in our respective market, in our respective bowl." And he said, "Hey, I'm just," he's an alum. He said, I'm proud to kind of see what's happening. I'm proud to see this turnaround. I know we got the right people leading this football program, Coach Dillingham, et cetera. And he said, I'm calling to wish you good luck, because I think we've got no shot. I think the higher bowls are going to be fighting for you. They're going to want a chance to get the Sun Devils because they see what an exciting brand of football we're playing. And so that was flattering and really incredible to get that kind of a phone call where the nation is paying attention. And this weekend against K-State is going to be an incredible showcase. I know it's cliche and we say this a lot in sports, but it's the best team that we've seen all season long. And we like the fact that we're playing meaningful football in November. We like the fact that the way that this schedule just coincidentally lays out, that each week we're getting tested in new ways with either hot teams or emerging teams. And K-State's really set the tone in the Big 12 all season long, and it's a home game for them. The conditions will be different than what we're used to. And so once again, another incredible test to see how we stack up and also understand where we're going to find new ways to, contribute differently or, develop some new plays that catch them off guard and see what we can do. But a lot riding on it. And, ESPN, national television, once again, pretty nice that we're in this rhythm now with these major networks picking up our games. And I can't wait. I can't wait to get there. I've heard incredible things about Manhattan. We have a ton of Sun Devil fans going out on the trip. On their own. We've got, the normal group that we travel with, but a lot of fans around town are saying, I've made plans to be there. And so we'll have a nice contingent of maroon and gold in the Little Apple, as they're calling it, Manhattan, Kansas. But can't wait to get there, and I know the guys will be ready to play. Yeah,
you mentioned the exposure. Every single game this year has been on either Fox, FS1, ESPN, or ESPN2, outside of one.
Yep.
So that goes to show also the national media is taking an eye on maybe the best kept secret, not best kept secret, but biggest surprise, if you will, based on preseason expectations in all of college football, based on what this team has done. Wanted to note one thing, and I know you wanted to mention this as well. Christmas getting pretty close. Holiday season is nearly here. In fact, we have a couple of weeks off after this program. We'll touch on that later in the show. But there are some NIL jerseys available at the Sun Devil team shop, I understand.
It's a very polite way of reminding me that I missed my tees.
You did not.
We talked about this pre-show.
Hey,
we're going to talk about Levitt to Tyson and the fact that jerseys are available.
I threw you a lob.
I whiffed. I totally whiffed on that one. So that's my bad. But yes, we do have jerseys available. We're going to use that post-production hit again.
Yes.
And we've got a photo of the bookstore here at ASU. Sparky Shop had jerseys available as we do every game. But the beauty of this NIL era is that our players on the roster have a chance to get their own name and number jersey available. And so you're right, holidays are right around the corner. Can't think of a better item under the tree or wrapped up as a gift than an ASU football jersey with your favorite players. So, shameless plug, but we've made a lot of hard work to get these jerseys available to our fan base. And thank you for the reminder.
Oh.
I whiffed on the alley-oop, but we've got football, we've got basketball, we've got baseball, softball, hockey, and a number of our sports that you can get custom name and number product for your favorite athletes. So pretty cool at this modern era of college sports to have that available as a holiday gift.
Yeah, I'm jealous that I didn't have that chance to ask for that from Santa.
Could you imagine like Jake Plummer jerseys back in the day and what that would have been like?
I would have been absolutely rocking a Taylor Kelly jersey.
Burko would have been a big hit there.
Jalen
Rudy
Strong.
Carpenter, Jalen Strong. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, DJ Foster, friend of the program.
DJ Foster.
Would have been great.
Yeah.
Anyways, great
Back
stuff
on
from
track.
football. Yes, back on track indeed.
Go football.
And we'll stay with
Keep it rolling.
a top 10 team in the country, the volleyball squad. I remember 2 weeks ago when we talked about them, it was their biggest 3-game stretch of the season at Utah, at BYU, they're both ranked, and then number 9 Kansas coming to Mullet on Wednesday. And we didn't want to talk too much about Kansas a couple of weeks ago, but we can talk about it now.
Wow.
What a win it was, what a night it was at Mullet Arena. 4-set win over number 9 Kansas, and then they take care of Kansas State in 4 sets as well. Number 7 now in the RPI, number 9 in the rankings, and this team now 24-2. They've won 12 in a row, Graham.
Awesome.
Yeah, it's unbelievable what they've been able to do.
JJ just walked by the set. You know, we usually catch him kind of going from practice to the office, so we just missed a chance to maybe add him onto the set impromptu. But always fun to talk about volleyball. And yeah, after the week that they had, I think sky's the limit now on what this team can go and accomplish. And Kansas was an important game, as we had kind of knew going into it, that really that chance to get first place. And then beating K-State, I think, was more important in that there's that emotional release after you beat the first place team and you take that over. And it's easy to kind of just exhale and lose focus on what comes next. In so many ways, you know, Friday was kind of a trap game against K-State. And so really, really excited to see how they came out ready to play and took care of business against K-State, while U of A did us a favor in beating Kansas down in Tucson. And so now we sit alone in first place in volleyball. And that's really important because now that we're in the final 2.5 weeks of the regular season, you know, knock on wood, the schedule is very favorable. We're on the road this week, you know, West Virginia, Cincinnati, I think, and then back home for Iowa State. Teams that we match up very well against, and I know the coaching staff will have the team ready to play. What that means is there's an inside track that we control our own destiny to potentially a Big 12 championship. And 2 years ago, I don't think that would have been something that we could realistically say is on our horizon. We wanted to rebuild this program. We wanted a good trend line. And here we are with an incredible team that we continue to talk about on this show. It comes up in a number of interviews that we're doing now. People want to know about volleyball.
Right.
And almost 10,000 fans at the 2 games last week. You know, Kansas at Mullet, K-State at Desert Financial Arena, incredible crowds in both situations. And not only we're a top 10 team, but we're starting to push the envelope on being top 10 in attendance in volleyball. And that's really, really important in a market like ours, as we've been saying all fall long. And, you know, so much so to the point that we put in for a bid to host the NCAA regionals, first and second round, and then the regional round, which, you know, we need a couple things to fall our favor. We obviously need to play well, but, you know, to think about having NCAA tournament volleyball on the campus of ASU right now is incredible. And so, you know, props to our coaching staff, props to our team, props to our fan base for really pouring into volleyball and supporting them at such a high level. And I can't wait to see what the next month brings for that sport. They're really making us proud week by week.
You know, we talk about rebuilds all the time in sports. It was too quick to be a rebuild. It really was. What they did last year, making the Sweet 16, and then this year just, you know, even leveling up another step from what they did.
Yeah, losing All-Americans,
right.
And really, in large parts, a brand new roster with a couple of key pieces, Jelly, Claire, et cetera. But really a rebuilt roster of the portal. You know, Rob taking on a different role. She had an unbelievable week last week as well. But, you know, the portal gives as much as it takes sometimes. And I think volleyball is a good indicator of kids that start to see what's happening at ASU and they want to join the program and they want to learn from great coaches and they want to be part of a incredible university. And these are the things that can happen.
People want to wear this logo. People want to wear this logo. It's true.
Yeah,
and
it's a good thing.
Especially when you're winning at the rate volleyball is. Very rare shout to U of A, by the way. They did beat Kansas, and that helped out. Yeah, that helped out the Sun Devils. So I guess, I won't say good job, but thank you.
Thank you.
I guess is in order. Game lead plus a tiebreaker right now with just 5 to play. As Graham said earlier, West Virginia Thursday at 5, Cincinnati Saturday at 11 a.m. That'll be the weekend on the road in the Big 12 for the volleyball team. How about a flurry of a start for men's basketball, now shifting gear over to the hardwood? 3 games since we talked last. Season opener, a win against Idaho State, and then they went on the road, a neutral site win against a good Santa Clara team out of the WCC, and then a a battle. I mean, it was a heavyweight battle on Sunday afternoon. A lot of people might have been watching the NFL, but it was quite the show in Spokane against number 8 Gonzaga. Devils led with under 8 to go in that game, ended up losing, but it was a really impressive performance. I think a lot of people, kind of turned their heads away, didn't want to see that game necessarily, but Bobby Hurley and company showed out against one of the premier programs in all of college basketball.
Yeah, I mean, really, you look at the 3 games so far this season and maybe include the Duke exhibition game, and just to see the progression and see a young team growing up before our eyes in the first month out the gate has been really, really exciting. And the Idaho State game was good that we won it. Some things that they wanted to tighten up. You saw that progression happen against Santa Clara, coached by former Sun Devil coach Herb Sendek, and so we knew his tendencies and how good of a D that his teams have always played. So nice to see the progression from game 1, game 2 there, and then Gonzaga really, none of us are into moral victories, so to speak, but I think there were a lot of positive takeaways that's the 6th best team in the country, if not higher, and legendary environment up in Spokane, known for that's their pride and joy is basketball up there, and to go in and compete and represent as well as we did, I think a lot of really encouraging takeaways, and for a young team to be showing that progression quickly, good to see. And so, coming back home, a really important game against GCU on Thursday, part of the doubleheader that we'll have over at Footprint Center. I'm really excited to kind of see the progression continue. And we've seen a lot of encouraging things the first 3 games in, and want that plan to continue.
One more thing on that Gonzaga game. They're one of the more experienced teams in terms of returners coming back. There are so many new faces on this ASU team, including 3 great freshmen, as we've talked about, big impact transfers as well. But you wouldn't have really been able to tell that it was the Devils who were the more inexperienced team together rather than Gonzaga. It says a lot about this coaching staff.
Yeah, it says a lot about everybody, and we talked a lot about the value of scheduling tough, and that Gonzaga game is why you play at Duke, and that's why Coach wanted to expose the team to this kind of environment and that kind of not hostile, but just energetic. You're the visiting team in somebody else's sold-out arena, and that's hard to navigate, particularly for a young team. And these kids have been playing in the high school gyms and the AAU tournaments. But when you're in front of 10,000 people cheering actively for you to not do well, there takes some intestinal fortitude and some mental toughness that has to come with that. And so I thought they handled the moment very well. That continues to benefit us as we get into the Big 12, and you're at Baylor and you're at Kansas. And then should we be in the NCAA tournament, certainly in the Big 12 tournament, playing in that kind of an atmosphere and having that experience to draw upon is so important. And so, it's nice to see from Duke to Gonzaga that progression underway, and it's exciting to think about how they continue down that journey.
A couple of shouts of Sun Devils that played well against Gonzaga. How about Bashir Jihad, who had 22 points, 10 rebounds, perfect from the free throw line. I know that's not easy. We mentioned a tough environment. And then Alston Mason, also a very big game for Arizona State. Jaden Quaintance, the big name, 5-star, biggest get in program history. He's only 17, folks. He's a size 19 shoe. He's going to continue to grow. He has all the makings, at least in the first 3 games. He could be a National Defensive Player of the Year. That guy impacts the game so much defensively. For hoop heads, it's fun to watch him and what he can do on that end of the floor.
Well, you saw ESPN put up the lower third youngest player in college basketball.
By 6 months.
By 6 months, and the fact that he's in that conversation on already some Player of the Year or Freshman of the Year, Newcomer of the Year watch list, and then defending as well as he does. The offense will come, but the fact that he's been that much of a contributor on the defensive end has been exciting to see. And again, like this incoming class, Josan's getting a lot of attention, rightfully so. Amir Ali is another guy that's kind of, maybe not getting the credit due behind the other big names, but you watch some of the shots that he made, off the rebound and off balance, putting up a bucket at a really important part of the game. It's exciting to see. And I think what Coach Hurley's teams have had a tendency, to live in the portal and get a lot of talent. The ones that have come together to play team basketball have been the ones that have made these great tournament runs in the past couple of years. And so it's encouraging that they're getting better, but it's more encouraging that they're spreading the ball around, and it's been more of a team contribution. It hasn't been just get the ball to one player and hope it goes well.
Perfectly said. A lot of opportunities to watch basketball this weekend at the Valley before we shift gears. Men's basketball and women's basketball at Footprint, like Graham said. On Thursday, 4:30 for the women against GCU. The men will play at 7 against GCU downtown Phoenix. That will be a cool opportunity for everyone. And then this weekend, it's loaded up. Women's basketball at home Saturday, Sunday against SMU and Oregon State. The men will be at home on Sunday night against St. Thomas. So another chance to see the Devils at DFA. One more thing to touch on before we head to a break, and a national champion. I mean, this would lead the show most weeks. We've just had so much success. Naomi Ruff, an individual national championship in triathlon. I know you were down in Florida last Thursday watching that.
Yep.
Really cool to see Naomi get the job done, bring the national title home. The team, of course, just short of pulling off another national championship, but still great stuff from that program down in Florida.
Yeah, in some ways the Trinity continues in a different way, but
Yes.
Naomi with the individual championship was really impressive. I think her past couple years was 22nd overall, last year was 2nd overall, and this year took home the individual title, which was incredible. And I'll tell you what, being down there with the team, just seeing their focus, the Mother Nature and the hurricanes in Florida changed the course. They had to do open water swimming in an area that I don't think anybody in the team had competed in. Some of our coaches have. So unfamiliar terrain in a lot of ways, but came out of the swimming on day one with a lot of people in a good position, and then narrowly finished runner-up in the team championship on Saturday after they did run and bike separately. And just what an incredible testament to these young athletes and what they go through. I mean, this is 3 sports packaged into one. They've got to be excellent at swimming, running, and biking, obviously, cycling, to win this. And just the mental toughness, again, the physical attributes are impressive. I think the mental toughness to go swim in open water, and they were joking, they don't know if there's snakes or alligators, or there was an island of seaweed that came across at one point during the race. And so you're at the mercy of nature and you're at the mercy of elements, and to be focused on the outcome. A lot of credit to Coach English and what the triathlon program continues to do here in year 8. 7 national championships, and the blip is a national runner-up.
Yep.
We'll take that all day long. And so just incredibly proud of triathlon, and I know that they're excited and they're proud of the accomplishment, but now there's that little edge of like, we got to get the title back, and so they're already hard at work there.
Yep. Could be a good thing in the long run, get that chip on the shoulder. You don't have to dodge seaweed when you play tennis, but you do need to have great mental fortitude. We'll chat with head coach Matt Hill when we come back on Sun Devil Extra. Back here on Sun Devil Extra, presented by Spring Hill Suites, Phoenix, Scottsdale. Joined now by the men's tennis coach here at ASU. It's Matt Hill, in his 7th year, I should say, here at Arizona State. So, Coach, first off, thanks for joining us. Excited to talk some tennis today with you, and I know it's towards the tail end of your season now in terms of the fall season and everything, but how would you say things are going so far?
It's been fun. Super busy. Super busy this fall. We've got some of our top guys are traveling all over the world playing, and then we've got a really young class of guys, a lot of new guys. So there's a lot for the coaching staff to learn and dig into, and not only just with their games, but also them as people and how to coach them and how they tick. So there's been a big learning curve for the coaching staff as well, so it's been fun.
You mentioned that roster. You went into the transfer portal and got marquee talent there, and then 4 new freshmen coming in. I was just talking to Murphy in terms of his mental aspect of the game, but for you as a coach, how do you kind of, because everyone's different, how they respond to coaching. How do you navigate that, especially in a sport like tennis?
Yeah, I mean, it's relationship first for us. That's a huge piece. I mean, it's not because yes, it helps us coach well, but that's just why we do what we do. But tennis is so individual, and when you think about it, when we're playing a match against Stanford or Ohio State, it's really 6 matches, like all separated at the same time, and so it's team against team, but it's this singles match and this singles match and this singles match. And as a coach, you're having to navigate multiple matches at the same time. And so, that relationship with that specific player is critical, because, you might need to make an adjustment that they're uncomfortable with from a skill standpoint, and they have to be able to trust you in that moment that it's the right move to make and the right call to make, and that they're going to go do it even though they're probably going to be really uncomfortable doing it. Or you need to get them to laugh or relax, or and so it's super one-on-one, and so the relationship aspect is critical. And then, like you said, I mean, their games are all incredibly different. I mean, Murphy's game is so different than Boer's game, and so their needs and what they're working on and where they're at in their progressions are just totally different. So it's a challenge, to say the least, but it makes it super fun,
Makes simple multitasking look casual based on what you have to do at any given day, it seems like, but really special. We obviously have heard a lot about Murphy, and it was cool talking to him, but in terms of what he has meant to your program, what you're building here, the individual success he's had, we were just talking about the U.S. Open experience, how would you put that into words? What he's meant to this program?
You can't put it into words, because I mean, there are players that come along, hopefully, and change a program, and Murphy, without a doubt, was that player for us. You know, when we built the program from scratch, when we were starting out in 2016, 2017, we had to go foreign because all the Americans had committed early, because they signed so early, and we caught up some heat for that. And even though we built a top 20 program pretty early, there was just people in the community that would have loved to see more Americans on the team. But one, it's hard to get the best Americans from the jump anyways, but it's impossible when they've already committed elsewhere. So, but now really there's been a couple of players that opened the door to the American market for us, but no one as important as Murphy, in a sense of, you know, validating the program in a way of, hey, if you have certain aspirations, this program and this staff and the support around it can help you with whatever your goals might be. And you know, he validates that for these young players, and particularly the American players. And so, I mean, you can't put a price tag or explain that in a way that, you know, that people understand, except when you're in meetings with parents or players, the confidence they have to consider you alongside of the very best brands in college tennis over the last decade or two. Like, you're in that conversation now. And so it's been fun. You
mentioned the word validate, and it's funny you say that, because I was literally going to say it validates what you're selling. So take us into a living room. You're talking to a recruit. You maybe mentioned Murphy. You probably mentioned Murphy. What are some of the other selling points of what makes this program and this school so special?
Yeah, it's kind of, I think Murphy spoke a little bit about it, is just the flexibility. I always found one of the greatest assets that Arizona State as a university and an athletic department offer is the flexibility that it provides. Like, you can get an absolute world-class degree through Barrett Honors or through WP Carey or the engineering department, and you can, you know, put your resume against anybody's in the world in your industry in those spaces and be considered and get the door opened and then work from there, just like anywhere else. You can also be a world-class swimmer or golfer or track athlete, and you can have the flexibility to move around the world and compete on national teams or prepare for the Olympics or compete on your professional tour of what that looks like. And you see it all the time in a lot of different sports here. It's not just tennis. And you're seeing some of the best 18 to 22-year-olds in the world come through our space because they have that freedom and flexibility that quite frankly, some universities are just unwilling to do, you know, and I think that allows us to speak to the 17-year-old that is the best in the world. They're the best in their craft, and we're able to honestly build a plan and a program for them during this stage of development to move them to the next, you know, area of their life, the dreams that they've had as kids, and really turn that into something that's not some pipe dream, and it is a tangible thing that can be attained through the system here. And I just think there's a lot of universities around the country that just don't have the structure and the mechanisms in place to do that, you know? And I just know that from head coaching interviews with ADs around the country and speaking with them, and they say, hey, what do you know, I asked the question, how much school could they potentially miss if for valid reasons around the sport? And it's 8 days a year you can miss, or 10 days a year you can miss. And it's like, for these guys that are serious about being professional in the sport of tennis or other areas, other sports, I mean, that's unrealistic, you know? And so I do think we have a major advantage, other than the obvious of the weather and the city and the nuances that kind of everybody knows, you know?
Yeah. Well, and that all starts at the top. You mentioned, you know, Michael Crow and everything they do.
Absolutely. They understand that there's Olympians walking around campus, and there's a major value add. And I mean, the obvious of Leon and what he did in Paris. I mean, you can't put a price tag. I mean, somebody probably could on the marketing of what he provided to ASU during that time. I mean, it's unbelievable.
It's almost priceless.
Yeah,
That
absolutely.
might be the price tag, right? One more for you, Coach. People might forget, your program's not even a decade old.
Yeah.
So 16, 17, like you said, when you get it off the ground, you had some immediate success, and now obviously a lot of success in the current space we're in right now. What are those visions you have for maybe the next 10 years or next 5 years? What are some of those visions and goals you have for this program moving forward?
Yeah, I mean, they're not honestly too different from where we started. We always believed in a program that could be one of the best in the country and in the conference that we lived in, and then also provided a pathway for young players that wanted to transition to the tour. So that hasn't changed, I would say, from since when we came here. But it's becoming a lot more real and a lot more palatable, like when you feel and see what's going on and we're talking to the best players in the world. I mean, we're talking to 3 of the top 10 players in the world in recruiting right now. And so when you're starting to have those type of conversations on a consistent basis, you start to say, okay, well, like we're moving into a phase of the program where we're not necessarily like scrapping and fighting and clawing for every little edge that we can get like we were at the beginning, and we're starting to have the conversations that the perennial blue blood programs are having on a normal basis, and that's an exciting time, and we're just starting to hit that stride a little bit.
Starting to get that momentum going in Tempe. I know you've done great things here, Coach. Thanks for coming on
Oh,
today.
of course.
Spreading the message of the program, and we'll hear from his star player coming up next, Murphy Cassone, when we return on Sun Devil Extra. Back here on Sun Devil Extra, as we just heard from Coach Hill in the men's tennis program. Now we're joined by his star player, Murphy Cassone, the senior from Overland Park, Kansas. First off, Murphy, thanks for joining us.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
Yeah, no
Appreciate
problem. So let's start with your relationship with Coach Hill. We just heard him, praise you and talk about what you've meant to this program. But what's it been like for you being able to play under him, learn from him, and have the success you've had under him?
Yeah, I mean, it's been something that's been huge for my success. I mean, I don't think, I've talked about it with friends, family, like I don't think I would have been as successful anywhere else in the country. And he was one of the few coaches. When I was being recruited, I was number 1 in my class coming in, but a lot of coaches hadn't seen me play because of COVID, so they weren't able to come out and see them tournaments. And he was one of the very few coaches that wanted to take the risk on me and really pursue that. So, I mean, yeah, all credit for him for what he's done for me.
What did that belief he had in you mean? Because you were being overlooked by other people.
It gave me almost a sense of like I needed to put my best foot forward for him and his program, because the risk he took on me, I wanted it to pay off for him, and so I mean.
And it has paid off, I'd say, in a very big way. Tennis, well, let's phrase it this way. We hear so much now about traveling in college sports and how it's more strenuous on student athletes. This guy right here, he was just telling me before we started recording, he has been gone and on the road for 7 of the last 9 weeks. Now, imagine that for a minute. 7 of the last 9 weeks. That's unbelievable. The amount of hotel beds you've slept in over the last few months. What has that been like, and how are you navigating still, being a student through all of that?
Yeah, something that's great about this school is I've been pretty much online my all 3.5 years now. But I was taking summer classes all my first 2-3 years, and that allowed me to I wasn't taking any classes this fall. So it's allowed me to go play and do whatever I want tennis-wise, which has helped out a ton, which I think you don't get that wiggle room with many other programs. But I mean, starting off, this is my first time like on a long trip like that, and it was, towards the end of it, I was pretty drained. Like it was pretty good to just get back here for one day, honestly. And I mean, 7 out of the 9 start off. I went, I think, 4 or 5 tournaments straight, and then I had 1 week off, and then 1 week back on. Then 1 off, 1 on, and by the end of it, I was pretty toast. So,
what did you learn from that amount of travel that you could take into the next long trip you go on?
I think just managing the off-court time a little better, finding things to do in the cities, and just almost killing time, just so you're not sitting in the hotel room all day, which I think that's a huge mental drain. If you're just sitting there thinking on your phone, like it's better to go out and like do stuff. So. Yeah. You
mentioned mental draining sitting in a hotel room, but let's talk about the mental part of the game of tennis, because it is such a mental sport. Oftentimes, whether it's singles or doubles, you have to clear your mind almost after every single shot, every single point scored, every single set, of course. How do you go about doing that?
For me, I kind of view it as like it's my choice to play the sport. So a lot of guys will be really negative and be like, oh, like it sucks. We have to travel 30 weeks out of the year or do this. It's like you're choosing to do it. So it's like, why not make the most of it? And I know I have the ability to, if I say I don't want to play, and I have other options to go pursue. But yeah, it's my thing is I just like, this is my choice and kind of just sticking with it. Yeah.
You almost look at it as a treat to be able to do, it sounds like.
I mean, it's a very good, you get to travel many places, you get to play a sport for a living, so it's, I mean, it's a lot better options. Me and Matt say it's a lot better than just sitting in a cubicle. You get to travel and do all that, so yeah.
And clearly you have a very bright future ahead of you, but let's talk about your career here at ASU for a couple of moments. You've had some outstanding accomplishments, singles wins, doubles performances, All-American honors. When you look back at your time here as it's coming to a close pretty quickly, what would you say are one or two of your favorite things you've accomplished here?
I think doubles All-American with my partner Jacob Bullard this past year. I think that was something pretty special for us because we started off the year not even playing together, and then we started playing position 2 for us I think in March, which is like almost the end of the season. And then we just went on a really, really good run and got a little lucky here and there and then made it to the tournament. And yeah, it was just like kind of everything came together for that. So it was pretty special. And then I'd say this making the semis of NCAAs was another good one. And then, but I think going to the U.S. Open and having Matt there in my box, being my coach there, I think that was one of the most special moments I think that we had. Yeah.
I wanted to ask about the U.S. Open because that was something that most people, whether they play tennis or not, you dream of a moment like that. To have your coach there, I'm sure your family was there as well.
Yeah, everybody. Yeah.
Did you have time in that moment to kind of reflect and think about what that meant, or was that something you had to deal with later on? Was because you were just so engulfed in the moment?
I think it's something I've realized like months and months after it, how special that moment was. So yeah, it kind of ended. I had a body issue or injury pop up in the third set, so it kind of ended pretty poorly. But yeah, it's something I've been really working towards to get back there and really enjoy that moment again instead of just be so focused on the tennis there. Yeah, take some moments, smell the roses, and enjoy it.
Leon Marchand, a swimmer at ASU, is someone that really showed out in the Olympics. Remember this guy's name right here, Murphy Cassone. He's already done so much. He's going to do a lot more as well. He's a proud Sun Devil as well. Murphy, thanks a lot for coming on here, and best of luck in the future.
Yeah, thanks for having me. Appreciate it.
We'll be right back on Sun Devil Extra. Back here for the final segment of Sun Devil Extras. We're now rejoined by Athletic Director Graham Rossini and Braiden Bell here in Tempe. And speaking of Tempe, a big weekend for hockey as they finally open up their conference campaign in the NCHC at home against Omaha Friday and Saturday. So Friday night, 7 o'clock, Saturday at 5 p.m. We talked a lot about what the move to the NCHC meant for the program in last week's show, but now we're here. We're finally here hosting a conference weekend. I know the team trying to turn things around a little bit. They have the chance to do so on home ice this weekend, but it's going to be a celebration of this program and where we're at on Friday and Saturday.
Yeah, and I think we need some home cooking, more importantly. Really a really aggressive road schedule out the gate. The team's battle tested. We've been on the wrong end of some really close matchups, some interesting calls that have happened along the way. And so it's good to get back home and kind of get in that maybe every other week rhythm as we enter the heart of the conference schedule. But yeah, very proud moment that we're hosting NCHC games at Mullet Arena. Commissioner Heather Weems will be in town this weekend with her team to celebrate with us, and important milestone for the program. We talked about that a few times this fall of 10 years in the making of getting to Division I, getting Mullet Arena opened up and celebrated, and then now playing home conference games at ASU. Pretty incredible.
Yeah, pretty incredible. Obviously, always a great atmosphere when the Devils are at home at Mullet, and should be a lot of fun Friday and Saturday. Also, if you can't come to the game, although we hope you do, new TV partner for the hockey team as well. So that's another
Fox
exciting
10.
Opportunity. Fox 10.
Yeah, Fox 10's got the games. They've been a tremendous partner with Coach Dillingham's Sun Devil Extra, or we'll correct it if it's right here. If not, I just look awkward with my hand in the air right now. Sean, are we Sun Devil Extra?
Sparky's Den.
Sparky's Den. This is Sun Devil Extra.
Yep.
It's a Monday on a Tuesday. Sorry about that, folks.
I do the same thing every week.
We were just talking about creating a blooper reel, and so now we're actually adding to a blooper reel. So we'll keep rolling. But yes, thank you, Fox 10, for hockey, and Nebraska Omaha will be a great matchup to showcase on the air.
We were just talking about blooper reels and putting something together. You're so flawless most of the time. I don't know what we'd really have on a blooper reel. The truth is we're pretty good, me and you. I don't know.
Yep.
I'm going to brag a little bit.
Right.
Now time for a fun segment that we introduced a few weeks ago and a fun name to talk about here, the Sun Devil for Life of the Week. Who did you run into this past week, Graham Rossini?
Yeah, we ran into a bunch, but I would have to say Spencer Torkelson, who was here at the football game. He had 30 of his baseball teammates from across his couple years on campus that were, in section 17 and the north end zone. They tailgated before the game. Shout out to a friend of mine who has the Fambulance. Colin Tatro has an incredible ASU-themed ambulance that's decked out in Lot 59. He was the host of a tailgate for a number of baseball alums, but Torque was the brainchild behind it. He was the one that organized an incredible baseball tailgate. Alec Marsh was there. Connor Higgins was there, Drew Swift was there, Alika Williams, and others. So really cool to see the baseball guys showing up. They want to make it an annual thing. And Torque was the ringleader of the baseball group. So great to have him back on campus any chance we get, especially coming off a pretty exciting playoff year with the Tigers.
Mr. 1-1 himself, and starting to really find a gear in Detroit that's really cool that Sun Devil fans can root for going forward. Also kind of a cross-section of your life. Corbin Carroll, the D-back star, was also in attendance with that group as well. So
current ASU student.
There
Corbin
you go.
Carroll. How about that?
Yeah, we'd love to see that.
Taking in his university in the off season. So
again, you should have been in the student section probably.
We got Joey Votto here at classes now. Tamar Johnson, who was a signee.
Yeah.
He was in the Arizona Fall League. He's playing for Team USA right now. He's working on his degree, which is pretty cool. A number of big league Sun Devils. Didn't play here, but they're still Sun Devils.
It's MLBU in many different ways.
We'll take it.
That's what it is. Moving on now, one more news segment. Ask the AD. Now, folks, if you've ever wanted to meet this guy, I know every Sun Devil wants to meet this guy, but sometimes it's not possible. And you want to pick his brain like I get to do from this chair every single week. We've got a brand new segment, Ask the AD. Just use the hashtag #AskTheAD on X and tag the Sun Devil Radio Network, or Graham Rossini, I suppose. And you could potentially have your question reach the airways. So we have our first ever one from @BrianSunDevil. This is a tough one. In your opinion, what has been the moment of the year thus far for Sun Devil football? There have been some great moments.
This was like a real fan-submitted question. Brian, okay, that's awesome. There's been several. The two that come to mind, the block punt. It seems like it's been quite some time since we blocked a punt and returned it for a touchdown, so that one sticks out. But I go back to Oklahoma State. I mean, the fact that we got bowl eligible that weekend, despite weather and travel and delays and injuries, that one to me continues to be a highlight. The fact that, their homecoming, all the craziness that came with that game, we punched it through and came home bowl eligible. That one's a highlight. This last weekend, I think the block punt would be one, so maybe a 2-for-1 on that one.
Hopefully some more highlights, bigger highlights to come.
Yep.
There is not a hashtag Ask the Host. I'm going to go with one specific moment. Mississippi State had started coming back in the second half. Maybe some doubt started to creep in when Cameron Scadaboo ran for that first down to seal the game and then slid down an unselfish play so they could kneel out the clock. The crowd went wild. I think that was kind of the start of the juice that we're now feeling nearly every single week around this program. I love that moment.
I'll offer a bonus one, speaking of scat, and I think I mentioned this either on the radio or on a previous show, but during the rain delay, he took a shower, he's wearing a towel, and he wanted to go to the concession stands at Oklahoma State Stadium. And so, most people didn't enjoy that the way that I did, but scat, there's 50,000 people on the concourse right now. This may not be the moment, and also you're wearing a towel, and that may not be how we want the Cowboy fans to experience Cam Scadaboo. So, but kind of a neat moment we had in the locker room, and got himself together, and what a second half he had. So that would be a third one.
Whether he's just in a towel or carrying out the American flag in a sweatshirt with his jersey over the top, he's done it all for the Devils this year. America's running back. That's exactly right, and hopefully he'll be back for Kansas State, listed as questionable for that game on Saturday. Yep. So we're going to miss a couple of weeks now. We've got some things going on in the athletic department, so we'll be gone until December. So stick with us. A lot of things will have changed by the time we next chatted. It could be many different things going on, many exciting possibilities, and I know these next 2 weeks could be really fun for this athletic department, for the football team, for the volleyball team, for both basketball programs. I mean, there's so much going on, and it should be a lot of fun these next couple of weeks.
Yeah, and we got reruns on YouTube and our website. So
if you're thirsty for old content,
that Thanksgiving, the turkey hangover, and you're getting a little drowsy and looking for something to do, we're archived on the interweb, so that's always a good thing as well. And I'm sure our repeat viewership is off the charts. So we're archived for all the internet, and in light of new episodes, go back and enjoy your favorites.
Someone's about to catch a stray, and I'm sorry about this, but if you're a Cowboys fan, you don't want to watch them on Thanksgiving anyways. Watch us.
Watch us.
Yeah. Yep. See what we had to say in like mid-September. It could be fun. Maybe some things have aged poorly. I don't know. But anyways, we'll be back on December 3rd for another new episode. Football on the road at K-State. Volleyball also on the road this weekend. Basketball here at home. Like we said, plenty of opportunities to see both the men and the women in action this weekend. So big thank you to the men's tennis program for being here today. Always a big thank you to this guy right here, Graham Rossini. I'm Braiden signing off from Tempe. We'll see you in a couple weeks.